Ever hit a big goal and then felt completely stuck? You're not alone. In this video, I'm sharing why that happens and how I broke through that fog to find clarity and motivation again. Let's talk about what really comes after success. Have you ever achieved a goal only to feel completely unfulfilled afterward? It's more common than you think. So many of us chase success, only to arrive and feel stuck. Today, I'm opening up about my own experience with this, and how I found my way back to clarity and motivation. Let's talk about what no one tells you happens after you reach your goals. We often believe that achieving our goals will bring lasting happiness, a sense of fulfillment, or even inner peace. But what many don't talk about is the strange silence that can follow success, the emotional void that quietly creeps in once the finish line has been crossed. Psychologically, this moment can be jarring. You've spent weeks, months, or even years pouring your energy into a goal. Your identity, your routine, and your sense of purpose have all revolved around getting there. Then suddenly you're there. The applause fades. The milestones are behind you, and you're left asking, now what? This feeling of emptiness isn't failure. It's a natural emotional dip called post-achievement depression, a response to the loss of direction after a long-term pursuit. The goal once gave you structure and meaning. Now without it, there's a sense of drifting. Emotionally, it can feel confusing, even shameful. People expect you to be happy. You expect yourself to be happy. But instead, there's restlessness, dissatisfaction, and sometimes even anxiety. This doesn't mean the goal was meaningless. It simply means you're human. We are wired not just for achievement, but for continual purpose, growth, and connection. And here's the truth. Success without purpose leaves a void. Goals can give you a moment of triumph, but they can't sustain you without a deeper why. That's why feeling stuck after success is often a sacred invitation, a pause from God to recenter your identity, not in your accomplishments, but in who you're becoming. You're not broken for feeling this way. You're being called into something deeper. If you've ever achieved something you dreamed of only to feel hollow afterward, you are experiencing exactly what Lewis described in his many bites. The idea that the human soul was not made to be satisfied by finite items of pleasures, but is designed to yearn toward the infinite. The ache that success cannot fill in mere Christianity. Lewis writes, "If I find in myself desires which nothing in this world can satisfy, the only logical explanation is that I was made for another world." This is at the heart of why we feel stuck after reaching a goal. Lewis believed that earthly achievements, be it wealth, recognition, mastery, or personal growth, while good and meaningful, are not ends in themselves. They are signposts, pointing us towards something greater. When we treat them as destinations rather than mile markers on an eternal journey, we are bound to feel disillusioned. He saw the pattern in our emotional and spiritual life. The chase is often more thrilling than the capture. Anticipation holds more enchantment than possession. The castle of dreams, once entered, begins to lose its mystery. This, Lewis would argue, is because our souls were made not for stagnant triumphs, but for eternal progression toward God. Desire. The whole way to heaven. Lewis often referred to this restlessness as seeing such a German word meaning a deep, unnameable longing. In his autobiography, Surprised by Joy, he describes moments of intense longing as stabs of joy, which come unexpectedly and stir the soul with a desire for something just out of reach. He believed these experiences were hints of heaven, reminders that we are pilgrims, not settlers. That ache you feel after achieving something big and finding it isn't enough? That, to Lewis, is divine mercy. It's a nudge from God reminding you this is not your final home. Lewis's insight cuts through the illusion of worldly success. He warns against making idols of our ambitions, not because the goals are evil, but because they are too small to carry the weight of our soul's eternal hunger. The necessity of continuous growth. If you study Lewis's works carefully, you'll find that one of his core themes is the necessity of becoming. In The Great Divorce, he imagines heaven and hell not as final verdicts, but as states of being that reflect what we have chosen to become over time. Heaven is not a place for the static, but for the ever-growing. The saints are not merely those who got it right once, but those who continually said yes to deeper transformation. In that sense, Lewis would tell us, you're feeling stuck not because you failed, but because you were never meant to stop growing. Just as a tree must keep reaching toward the sun, or a stream must keep moving to stay fresh, the human soul withers without movement. God's design, Lewis would argue, is for eternal ascent. Further up and further in, cries the call at the end of The Last Battle, the final book in the Narnia series. It is the invitation of heaven itself. Come deeper. go higher, grow forever. This is not just poetic metaphor, it's deeply practical for our everyday lives. When you hit a goal and feel empty, that is your soul's way of signaling, it's time to grow again. The goal was never the finish line. It was a stepping stone toward a deeper unveiling of who you are becoming in Christ. The dangers of settling. One of the most powerful illustrations Lewis gives is in The Weight of Glory. He writes, "We are half-hearted creatures, fooling about with drink and sex and ambition, when infinite joy is offered us, like an ignorant child who wants to go on making mud pies in a slum, because he cannot imagine what is meant by the offer of a holiday at the sea." Here Lewis reveals another danger of success. It can tempt us to settle. We may come to believe that this is all there is, that because we've reached a level of comfort or recognition, we no longer need to press forward. This is not just poetic metaphor, it's deeply practical for our everyday lives. When you hit a goal and feel empty, that is your soul's way of signaling, it's time to grow again. The goal was never the finish line. It was a stepping stone toward a deeper unveiling of who you are becoming in Christ. The dangers of settling. One of the most powerful illustrations Lewis gives is in The Weight of Glory. He writes, "We are half-hearted creatures, fooling about with drink and sex and ambition, when infinite joy is offered us, like an ignorant child who wants to go on making mud pies in a slum, because he cannot imagine what is meant by the offer of a holiday at the sea." Here Lewis reveals another danger of success. It can tempt us to settle. We may come to believe that this is all there is, that because we've reached a level of comfort or recognition, we no longer need to press forward. New challenges are not just opportunities for external achievement, but for internal transformation. Each new mountain teaches humility, dependence, faith, and the truth that every peak only makes sense in light of the one who created it. A call to eternal becoming. In the end, Lewis would not encourage you to chase the next goal for its own sake. He would not push you to hustle harder or dream bigger merely to feel full again. Instead, he would invite you to look inward and upward. To ask, what is this longing trying to teach me? Where is God calling me to grow? He would remind you that this strange emptiness is not the absence of success. It is the presence of eternity echoing in your heart. A gentle, persistent call, there is more. Come further in, come further up. In an age driven by goals, milestones, and productivity, it is easy to believe that the summit is the source of satisfaction. We chase career breakthroughs, spiritual victories, personal achievements, believing that once we arrive, we will finally feel complete. But C.S. Lewis invites us to consider something radically different. What if fulfillment doesn't come from the destination at all, but from the journey itself? This insight, scattered across his works, forms a quiet revolution of thought. A shift from destination-driven living to journey-shaped becoming. To Lewis, life was not a series of boxes to check, but a path to be walked, a soul to be transformed, and a pilgrimage that, at every step, prepares us for heaven. The journey is where we are made. In the Chronicles of Narnia, we find the clearest allegory for this truth. The children do not reach Aslan's country, heaven, without trials, detours, and battles that test and shape them. The value of their experience is not simply that they got there, but that they were transformed by the road itself. In The Horse and His Boy, Aslan does not explain everything to Shasta immediately. Instead, he guides through mystery and struggle. At the end, Shasta realizes that every hardship was part of a greater story. Every mile was meaningful, every sorrow necessary. Lewis understood something essential about the human spirit. We do not become who we are by standing at the finish line. We become in the walking, the wrestling, the wandering. He writes in Mere Christianity, "The Christian way is different, harder and easier. Christ says, 'Give me all. I don't want so much of your time and so much of your money and so much of your work. I want you. I have not come to torment your natural self, but to kill it." This quote shows that Jesus is not interested in partial victories or temporary achievements. He seeks transformation, not performance. That transformation happens in the day-to-day grind, not just at the mountaintop moments. Why goals feel hollow after achievement? We often feel disappointment after reaching a goal, because we mistake the goal for the ultimate reward. We believe that crossing the finish line will grant peace, purpose, or even self-worth. But as Lewis would say, you cannot extract eternal satisfaction from temporal moments. In The Weight of Glory, Lewis reflects, "These things, the beauty, the memory of our own past, are good images of what we really desire. But if they are mistaken for the thing itself, they turn into dumb idols, breaking the hearts of their worshippers." This applies to success too. Achievements are good. They are shadows of something greater. But when we expect them to satisfy the deeper hungers of the heart, we are disappointed. The journey is not only the means to reach a goal, it is often the goal itself, in God's eyes. The journey as sanctification. Lewis believed that life is not primarily about what you accomplish but about who you are becoming. This view echoes the biblical principle of sanctification, the process by which we are made holy. Every experience, every trial, and every moment of the journey is meant to shape us into the image of Christ. In The Problem of Pain, Lewis writes, "We are, not metaphorically but in very truth, a divine work of art, something that God is making, and therefore something with which He will not be satisfied until it has a certain character. This work happens on the journey, not after a trophy is received. If we reach a goal and feel empty, Lewis would say it is because we have made the goal into a god, rather than embracing it as part of God's larger workmanship. The shaping happens in the process, in perseverance when it's hard, in surrender when it doesn't go as planned, and in trust when God seems silent. These moments are far more transformative than any external success. Further up and further, in the eternal progression in the final Narnia book, The Last Battle, the saints of Aslan's kingdom run toward the light shouting, "Further up and further in." This refrain is Lewis's poetic way of describing the eternal nature of the soul's growth. Heaven itself, as he imagines it, is not static bliss, but endless discovery, endless delight, endless becoming. This truth reframes our view of life's journey. If even heaven involves a journey of continual deepening, why would we expect earthly goals to be final destinations? This means that even after major achievements, we are still called onward. Not because our previous successes were meaningless, but because they were never meant to be the end. The finish line isn't the goal. The goal is deeper intimacy with God, and that can happen whether we're in victory or valley. Lewis didn't promote aimless wandering, he believed in purpose. But his kind of purpose was not self-centered or worldly. It was shaped by eternity. We aren't climbing a ladder to self-fulfillment. We are walking a road that leads us home, becoming pilgrims who grow more alive with every faithful step. Practical implications of Lewis's insights. So what can we take away from this? 1. Hold your goals loosely. Let them guide you, not define you. Measure success not just by what you accomplish, but by how you grow. 2. Embrace process over perfection. God is forming your character in the journey itself. Don't rush past the now to get to the next. 3. When the high fades, look inward. Ask not only what's next, but what is God forming in me right now? 4. Celebrate transformation. Celebrate when you become more loving, more surrendered, more faithful, even more than when you check off another box. 5. Stay on pilgrimage. Don't settle. Don't stagnate. Keep moving further up and further in. The journey eyes, the gift CS. Lewis's life and writing consistently return to one core truth. Our fulfillment is not in what we achieve, but in who we are becoming through every step of the journey. So if you've reached a goal and feel lost, don't despair. You are not broken. You are being invited to walk further. The hollowness is not a sign of failure, but a signal. There is more ahead. More beauty, more becoming, more of God. The destination may have disappointed, but the journey still calls. And in that journey, God is still with you, shaping, stretching, and inviting you ever deeper. Just as the Narnians heard at the gates of Aslan's country, the voice calls to you now, come further up, come further in. Why you must keep growing. The power of new goals and a growth mindset. Have you ever reached a goal you worked hard for only to feel strangely empty afterward? This experience is far more common than most people realize. We spend so much time climbing toward our goals, expecting joy and fulfillment when we arrive, but often discover a surprising sense of stillness, or even loss once we've reached the summit. Why does this happen? The answer lies in our human design. We are not meant to stay stagnant. We are wired for continual growth. Psychologists and thinkers like Tony Robbins call this the need for progress, the sense that we are always moving forward, improving and evolving. Without that movement, even success can feel lifeless. C.S. Lewis added deeper spiritual insight to this idea. He believed that the ache we feel after reaching our goals is evidence that we were made for something more, something eternal. Achievements, while good, are temporary. They serve as stepping stones, not destinations. Lewis described this as the soul's longing for heaven, for God, for continuous transformation. This is where setting new goals becomes crucial. The moment we reach a milestone, we must remember, it's not the end of the road. It's a resting point along a larger, lifelong journey. New goals reignite our sense of purpose and give our growth a direction. They don't just keep us busy, they keep us becoming. So when you feel stuck after a win, don't retreat. Refocus. Set new, higher, more meaningful goals. Let them challenge your faith, deepen your character, and pull you into new arenas of growth. The journey is where life happens and where your spirit comes alive. Before you go, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever hit a goal and then felt lost or stuck afterward? What did you do next? Share your experience in the comments below. Your story might be the encouragement someone else needs today. And if you're ready to keep growing and moving forward, don't stop here. Check out my next video on powerful personal growth strategies to help you reset, refocus, and rediscover your purpose. I'll see you there. Remember, the journey is just beginning.